All right, good afternoon. The date is March 11th, 2018. The school is Hogwarts, district being Witchcraft and Wizardry, subject area Language Arts, fourth grade with 25 students. My indicator pre-conference will be 4. For the purpose of this lesson, I will be referred to as Mr. Munoz. So the context of the lesson and the overview of this lesson will be: through the act of practice, my students will be able to demonstrate legible cursive writing skills via writing 10 words by the end of this lesson. By the end of the course, I expect all my students to be able to demonstrate 10 legible cursive words by the end of the lesson with a 90% proficiency to demonstrate your mastery over the content. Okay, so this is the rubric for my first lesson plan. I have the criteria broken down into 4 different points. We have legibility, on the line, even slant, and form. Now for each of the criteria, I have 4 points that you can grade them on, from 4 being excellent, 3 being good, 2 being just okay, and 1 definitely needing room for improvement. Now for the legibility portion, excellent legibility would constitute the individual letters and words are legible and very clear to read. The individual letters and words are legible and very clear to read. 3 would be that it's no less than 8 words are written legible, and gradually it decreases in quality to number 1 being where at least 5 or more words are written illegibly, so you can't read them at all. On the line, as far as excellent criteria, all the words are written on the line, and a 1 would be at least 5 or less words are written on the line. And a 1 where there's room for improvement for on the line. 5 or less words are written on the line. For even slant criteria, if it's an excellent, all the letters and words slant consistently in one direction. If it's in the category where it needs room for improvement and you only receive 1 point for it, the words slant inconsistently at least 50% of the time or more. And finally, for form, for you to be able to achieve a 4 as in an excellent, all letters are correctly formed in cursive, whereas if you receive as little as a 1, requiring you receive a 1, which emphasizes your necessity to improve, that means that 50% or more of the words are formed incorrectly. Okay, so in reference to this lesson plan, my level 1 student will be referred to as John. So John is from another country, we'll say Mexico, and he has very little bearing on the English language. So for the purpose of this particular lesson and his academic language objective, John is going to write the letters of the alphabet in cursive. As for our level 2 student, we'll name Joe. He is also from Mexico. He knows a little bit of English, but he's still not entirely proficient in the English language. So the academic language objective for Joe will be to write shorter words in cursive, and there'll be pictures of the word displayed above the word so that he knows what he's writing. I'd also like John and Joe to be sitting next to each other during the lesson so that they can help each other out if they have any language barriers that they come across. I lack the technological ability to be able to convey myself drawing the individual letters of the alphabet. So I went ahead and I wrote them out ahead of time so you can see the comparisons of the printed letters and their cursive counterparts, both capital letters and lowercase. So the way I would demonstrate the content is I would use the smartboard to write out visually the entire alphabet in cursive so that my students will be able to follow along with me as I write out each letter individually in both capital and lowercase, one by one, in print and in cursive. I would also have a word wall, which I would use to visually show students cursive and printed letters, which would be displayed side by side to give students a reference to help them during the assignment. I would also have pictures of the words that they're going to be writing out, which I'll use to provide a visual of the words to students, particularly ESOL, which would help them write out the letters and the words for the assignment. So as you can see here, I have the capital letters written out, A through Z, on the left-hand side, and I have the cursive counterparts of all the capital letters A through Z written on the right, just to the right of the letter. So again, ideally, I would have liked to write the letters out, both capital and lowercase, and their cursive counterparts, on a smartboard for the entire class to be able to observe how they're formed. So this will be the first part of the lesson. I'll write down 10 words in print for the class to be able to see, and then I will write out their cursive counterparts to the right of the word, and I'll ask my class to do the same independently. So after doing that demonstration, I would check, walk around, make sure that everyone is on the same page and is grasping the lesson thus far. Now I will write a few separate words on the board printed for the students to independently practice on and write in cursive on their own. So I would have my students write out these words independently on their own in cursive, and then afterwards, giving them an adequate amount of time, I would check on their progress and see how they're doing. For our level 1 student, John, who is our level 1 student who will have his own academic learning objective, I'm going to have John just write out the letters individually, both capital and lowercase letters. Okay, so for this sequence right here, this is going to be Joe's academic language objective. Now, as you may recall, Joe is our level 2 student, so we're not going to assume that he has no grasp of the English language. Rather, we're going to assume that he has a little bit. So we're going to give him a lesson that encompasses the same material of the lesson that we're giving to the rest of the students, but it's just going to be a little bit simplified. So given the amount of knowledge he has on the English language, he'll be able to do this with little to no frustration. So for Joe, we're just going to have him write out 3 simpler words. In this case, it's going to be bat, man, and cat. They're all going to have little pictures above the word so that Joe is able to get a better understanding of what the word means and the meaning behind the word, and that way he'll be able to write out the words with little complication. Okay, so finally I'm going to show the last 10 words. In this case, it's going to be alphabetical, applaud, between, change, delight, emphasize, factual, gratify, hockey, independent, and joker. Those are 10 words that I researched and determined are of 4th grade vocabulary. So initially in their print, and then followed by their cursive counterparts. So here are the 10 words. On the left, you can see that they're written in print, and on the right, they are written in cursive. After I have all my students write out the cursive words, I'm going to collect them all, and I'll grade them based on the grading rubric that I showed earlier. So given the context of the lesson, I had a little bit of difficulty with anticipated questions, but the ones that I did come up with were, how would you string the letters together? Depending on the letters, there's a little bit of complexity and some difficulty levels, depending on what letters you're trying to string together. What is the difference between the letter M and the letter N? Those are very similar looking letters in cursive, so I would want to, during the lesson, emphasize the similarities and the differences, especially of the letters M and N, lowercase. How to write the letter Z, both capital and lowercase, are a little difficult, as well as the letter B. The letter B is kind of difficult to write in cursive because it doesn't have too much of a similarity to draw upon from its printed counterpart. And do numbers have cursive? Or why do we use cursive? Those are 2 questions that I could anticipate on the lower ending question spectrum. Why we use cursive? I think it's still applicable in today's society for a number of reasons. I think it's important to be able to identify different methods of writing the English language, regardless of how little or often we use cursive. I still think it's important in today's society being able to sign your name is important, and being able to read signs out in public, or to be able to read books, or just to be able to read cursive in general, to me is very important. I do want to thank you for taking the time to watching this assignment. I had fun doing this. I don't typically do video assignments very often, so when I do get the opportunity, I really enjoy doing it. So I just want to thank you again. So this concludes my assignment for Lesson Plan 1 video assignment dated March 11th, 2018. My name is Jesse Daniel Munoz Colleen. Thank you again for watching.